Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8, the lunatic angel, your tsundere streamer who doesn't stream. This is a public highway you're sleeping on. Do you want to become roadkill? Or maybe you already are roadkill. Well now, which one is it? I clenched my chest. I felt I needed to answer somehow and communicate my intentions. So finally, I managed to let out a short groan escape my lips. I see. So, you aren't roadkill yet. And that was how I met Ikuku. The patient's body is in a very frail condition. Some sort of memory loss is very probable as well. We won't know for sure until the CT scan, but there may even be brain damage. It's lucky that damage is all we have to deal with. Any longer in a spot like that, and it would likely have been much worse. True, in any event, I recommend getting this checked at a large hospital. Thank you, doctor. Please, keep this off the record. It may not be much, but here's some money for your troubles. I see no reason to speak of this needlessly, but no, I couldn't possibly accept that much. In the end, the doctor took the money and swore to keep quiet about the matter. Eventually, Hachijo returned. Oh, you were awake. How do you feel? I nodded weakly, letting her know that it wasn't so bad for now. But where is this place? A room I have absolutely no memory of, and a house I don't remember at all. And first and foremost, here's a woman I've never seen. To start off, let me introduce myself. I'm Hachijo Ikuku. Feel free to casually call me Ikuku. Thought your name was Hachijo Toya. Or act more formal and call me Hachijo-san. Hachijo Ikuku. The Hachijo family owns a large amount of land and is fairly famous in these parts. Unlike my accomplished brothers, I'm what you might call a little eccentric. I got into a bit too much mischief, and my parents finally ran out of patience and kicked me out. I'm now confined to this house. As a hobby, I like to read detective novels, and also to write them. My age is a single woman's secret. My heart is that of a girl, but I'm approaching the point where calling myself one becomes increasingly absurd. With the haze my mind was in, it was extremely hard to make out what she was talking about. However, I was able to pick up on the fact that she was trying to cheer me up. So, what's your name? My name? Logically, I know, being a human being, I must have a name. And I do have the feeling that I did indeed have a name. However, no matter how hard I tried to remember what it was, it just made my head hurt. Can you remember anything besides your name? Who am I? My head, no, even my heart was a mess of torn flesh, and I couldn't remember a thing, not even who or what I was. But I must remember. I had some kind of purpose, or maybe a mission. In order to remember that, I first have to remember who I am. Who am I? What is my name? Where was I born? And what was my birthday? I need to remember something, anything. Age. Age? That's My little secret. 18. I look like I'm 18? I'm 18. Oh, so that was your age. Well, now, I thought you were being a bit too flattering. When I asked myself how old I was, the number 18 floated into my mind. To be honest, the number 18 felt a bit out of place. My mind felt much younger than that, and my pathetic body felt much older. I see. So you're 18, and that's all you can remember. I nodded weakly. I never knew that knowing nothing about yourself could make you feel this powerless. In that case, until you remember your name, let's give you the name Toya, written with the characters for 18, until you remember. Hachijo Toya. What do you think? That sounds pretty cool. Yes, I must say I've impressed myself very much with that one. Hachijo Ikuko gave a satisfied laugh. From then on, I took the name Hachijo Toya. My inability to move my body was apparently due to a traffic accident. On that day, I had been hit by a car and Ikuku had picked me up from where I lay on the street. If she hadn't hit the brakes, she probably would have driven straight onwards, thinking she'd run over a dead dog or something. Later on, perhaps rudely, I suspected that the one who hit me might have been Ikuku herself, but when I saw her completely undamaged front bumper, I gave up on that theory. Hachijo Ikuko lived in a small but lovely mansion on top of a small hill in a village with a view of the sea. She also owned the hill behind her and was more than capable of enjoying the 4 seasons and privacy. As time passed slowly, my rehabilitation continued, and my ability to move improved little by little. However, it seemed I really did suffer some form of brain damage. Finding out who I was looked like it would be a very difficult task. In the beginning, when I couldn't bear not knowing my identity, my head often hurt so much it felt as though it would explode. However, as I slowly accepted the fact that I was a new person with the new name Hachijo Toya, the headaches became less frequent. That whole time, no memories returned to me except the fact that I had been 18. However, I was unable to remember anything anymore, unable to even be sure that 18 was my true age, and eventually I stopped trying to remember my former self. Good morning, Toya. That was quite the storm last night. Were you able to sleep well? I had some trouble falling asleep, so I decided to read your manuscript. My, how far did you manage to get? I finished it. Now there's a surprise. You managed to read through all that in a single night. I was surprised too. Once I got into it, I'd finished before I knew it. It was like I was just skimming it, or maybe like I was taking in each page with just a glance. It sounds like you have some talent at speed reading. So, how was it? What did you think of it? I liked it a lot. Still, if you don't explain the part about the ocean currents a bit more clearly, it might be a little unfair for a detective novel. Oh, but I thought it was great that you had the foreshadowing with the ring right there at the beginning. After I finished, I had to go back to the beginning and slap myself for being so easily tricked. I think giving people that feeling is what detective novels do best. I don't know what that expression means. Please let me know in the comments. What does that face mean? Like, what? I don't know what emotion is being conveyed by that. Did I say something to offend you? If I did, you have my apologies. Of course not. Why are you apologizing? I don't know. I don't understand. I feel kind of confused on your expressions. I feel confused as to what is being communicated here. I'm just shocked, that's all. Your detailed opinions are worthy of praise, I believe. It seems you have some talent as a critic, or a detective novel writer, too. A detective novel writer? A critic? From across the fog of oblivion, I seem to remember myself fighting and arguing about mysteries, or something like that. That way of fighting, which I must have learned in the past, sent a surge of excitement through me. Mystery. Fighting. My head hurt. I took a painkiller and swallowed it with fresh water brought up from the well. Who am I, really? But no matter how much I thought, I couldn't remember. From what I've been told, the frequency of the headaches might be lessened by brain surgery, but there was no guarantee that it would do my memory any good. Ikuku said that she would let me have surgery if I wanted it. However, I refused. Even if I can't remember it, the real me is still there, sleeping inside my head. I was scared that the surgery might harm that me somehow. By now, I've gotten used to dealing with headaches. As long as I don't force myself to remember the past, the headaches don't torment me every day. So bit by bit, I became free of the headaches and got used to my new life as Hashijo Toya. Gradually, my interest shifted from myself to Ikuku. Now, I'm probably pronouncing that terribly. Hachijo Ikuku. A very strange woman, first off. She was apparently the daughter of a very well-off family, just as she had said. However, she was considerably eccentric, and the various mischievous incidents she spoke of had apparently gotten her within an inch of being disowned. As a result, she'd been given this house and had been ordered to live here quietly and alone. That doesn't sound like a punishment at all. That sounds actually pretty nice. She had never been a particularly social person, so she had happily accepted this new state of affairs, living however she pleased with servants to take care of her. This just sounds nice. She had no friends. No one ever came to visit. When I wasn't around, she only ever talked to an old black cat she kept as a pet, named Burn. I don't know her real age. She doesn't seem to be too old to marry yet, but with an isolated life like this, she isn't likely to meet people. She sometimes says that she just hasn't met anyone worth the trouble, but I think she's already given up on marriage. Her everyday life was very simple. She would either read through the many detective novels that were brought to her, or else write detective novels herself. At first I thought she was some novelist at a private retreat, plugging away at a new book. However, the manuscript she finished just ended up clipped together in a pile. With me as a sole exception, it didn't look like she ever let anyone read them. A novelist is someone who writes novels for people to read. So I figured you could hardly call her a novelist when she kept writing novels no one would ever see. Ikuko-san, why don't you ever show these to anyone? I show them to you. Only the better ones, of course. Haven't you ever thought of sending one to some publishing company? It's a waste otherwise, when your works are so interesting. My works can't stand up against the pros. I sent one in once, but it was absolutely no good. Well, that guy sounds like a jerk. I understand my position. This is just an amateur's pastime. I don't think an amateur is a fitting word for someone who's so well versed in detective novels from all times and all across the world. Being a big eater doesn't mean you'll make a good cook. Reading every detective novel you can get your hands on is no guarantee that you're a good detective novelist. That's how it is. That's why this is nothing more than a pastime. Is it really fun to write novels that you won't show to anyone? It used to be. Once. What about now? I like getting to hear your opinions. Everyone's like, you don't need to share your thoughts, Lunar. We don't need to know. First thought, just staring at her tits. Also her face. Her face does look really nice. But I'm just like thinking to myself, personality-wise, provided, don't have the additional stuff in the background with the story happening, in terms of, obviously causing a bit of a confrontational issue between them, in terms of the whole stuff, in terms of Ushiromiya's. But in terms of personality-wise, I think Angie and Featherine would actually make a good married couple. Like, they would make good spouses, I think. Aside from that, I'm also just taking notice that Featherine is, one, not only more attractive than any relationship I actually had, but also definitely a more sane person, and also just, I don't know, this seems like a much healthier relationship than anything that, not just my own life. I think any IRL relationship I've ever seen anyone have, friends, family, anyone. This seems like a much more emotionally healthy person and relationship. Though I may just be saying really terrible things about my own personal experiences and everything I've witnessed in my life. I'm just saying that this just seems like a more healthy relationship than anything I've witnessed in my entire life. Not just counting my own relationships. Like literally any relationship I've watched anyone else have. The other thought was imagining her as Futa or with a strap-on. I'm just saying this. Staring at her boobs. She's got a pretty face. I like the clothes she wears. And imagining her with either a strap-on or a dick. So. Again, if there was no one here watching this video to begin with, but if you were, I mean, you would have definitely clicked off the video by now, right? Who wants to listen to, hey, it's that guy who reads Let's Play video games and novels, who occasionally talks about futa, femboys, and pegging? Like, no one wants to listen to that guy, right? I like getting to hear your opinions. Or the fact that it's just, the way Featherine is seems like a more emotionally stable and healthy person and relationship than anything I have witnessed in my life. I'm 39 years old. And I'm not just counting my own relationships. I'm like everyone I've ever seen in my life. Friend, family, acquaintance, people I've just met. Like what I've seen of their relationships. And of course, usually most people will try to put on a better front for other people to see. But even like from what I've seen, a lot of times, this is just a more emotionally stable, healthy person. An emotionally healthy relationship. And again, maybe my expectations are just very low. At any rate, I've finished writing the chapter. It's just, I just want to say, granted, I understand. I will say I like this outfit better than Featherine Augustus Aurora's outfit. But at the same time, same person. And who else actually likes... I still say she looks like Ivy from Soul Calibur. I mean... Same person, but it's like... Can't pull a picture of it. Oh well. I'm just saying... I like how she looks in this outfit more than I do when she's dressed in, like, her other form. Like, I think this looks much more flattering. And I think I'd also just, I don't know, feel like it's easier to see her face. Like her face just seems more pretty. I don't know. Okay, that's enough of the otaku Lunar imagining in his mind fucking Featherine Augustus Roar. In a what I would hope would be an emotionally healthy relationship. Everyone's like, this is so uncomfortable. I don't know. I'm just saying this. Do you guys agree with me that she is very pretty? Like, she is very, very pretty. I'll go make some tea. So, would you mind reading it again and sharing your thoughts with me? Saying this with a smile, Ikuku thrust. Again, I'm just imagining her naked with either a strap-on or a dick. Heck. I still have to say Shion and Mion Sonozaki from Higurashi. Very pretty. I don't know, who would you guys rather date? If you had a choice between Kairi Ushiromiya and Shion Sonozaki, who would you pick? Or what if you had a choice between Mion and Kairi? Though, you know what, since the last video I used a picture of Shion, I'm gonna use a picture of Mion for this video. They're twins, but I think you should be able to, it'll be a very different picture, so you should at least be able to tell the difference. This is just, but it's just like I was talking about, like, this stuff, and all of a sudden thrust. And I'm like, oh, back to thinking about dick. Boobs. And again, she does have a very, very pretty face. I don't know, I'll say this. If it's a question between Mion and Kairi or Shion and Kairi, honestly, I don't know. And don't get me wrong, all three of them are very, very pretty. But honestly, if I had a choice between any of the three of them or the woman in front of us right now, definitely would have to say the woman in front of me right now is I want to say more interesting, though. My mind just went to, like, I just started imagining, like, what if me and her were sitting next to each other playing Halo co-op? The new Halo remaster is going to come out, but I heard there's no couch co-op for that. Not that I'd have anyone to play it with anyway. I imagine, like, whoever it is I would date in the future, I would want to actually play Halo co-op with them on I don't know, maybe they'll sell us couch co-op later as a microtransaction. I don't know. I would say whoever I date in the future, I want it to be a monogamous relationship where the person actually loves and cares about me. I'd want someone I feel safe with. Someone who would never ever be abusive to me or violent or, would never be verbally abusive, never be physically abusive, would never cheat on me. That would be nice. Just a generally doting, kind person. Doting meaning, overly, affectionate, uncritically fond, meaning they're fond and accepting of you, they're loving and caring, but they're not judgmental. Like, they're not, like, putting you down or something. They're actually, like say if the person's in a relationship with you, they're actually proud to be with you, and they actually like you and find you attractive, and they actually enjoy spending time with you. So it's essentially like, what is my ideal relationship at that point? Someone who looks like the woman right here, but either has a dick or a strap on and is dominant, but also would never, ever, ever be mean to me. Heck, if anything, can even be protective of me, and generally would be somebody who would never, be abusive to me or cheat on me or hurt me in any way. Someone who would actually, legitimately care about my thoughts and feelings and not consider me like disposable or something. So a beautiful woman who is extremely affectionate, but also extremely kind. I don't know. How does everyone else feel about that? Granted, some people out there would probably disagree on the futa or strap-on part, but, given the personal tastes of whoever is listening to this, in general, if you could have a relationship with someone who looks like Featherine Augustus Aurora right here, and that person actually, cares about you as a person, and is very affectionate to you, and would never cheat on you or, commit domestic violence or something. I mean, would you want that relationship? I mean, I don't know. It might be unfair of me to ask this as I'm imagining motorboating her tits right now. I don't know. It's like every day we stray further and further from reading a fucking visual novel properly. Or any amount of propriety. Anyway, so this has been Man Reads video game novel and doesn't stay focused. Also 28 minutes. I need to try to have the videos a little bit shorter than this. Okay, we're gonna use a picture of Mion for this video. So you can compare the thumbnails of this one and the previous one. Okay, well, hope everyone knows all the hugs and head pats you could ever want or need, and yeah, thanks for hanging out. Bye.